And that leads us into our main story of today, which is there's been a lot of conversation, a lot of, uproar over the recent incident of the young girl in Scotland who was caught, or who was videoed rather, brandishing a knife and an axe, who was taken into police custody and I believe charged with possession of a knife and an axe after being accosted by what seemed to be a gang, or at least an adult migrant male and seemingly an adult migrant female as well. Well, more info has started to break on this story. Before I go into the Daily Mail article, which in my opinion has done the same thing that the mainstream media tried to do at the height of the Southport stuff, when they wouldn't show us who Axel Rudikabana truly was, they displayed a lot of very favorable, very cutesy, untrue photographs of him like that. Now infamous, I was going to say iconic, but now infamous photo of him dressed up as Doctor Who when he was a child, right? Despite the fact that he was, much older and much more evil and satanic looking when he actually committed the attack, as we saw by his now infamous mugshot as well. But before we go into the Axel Rudikabanian style reporting that, in my opinion, the Daily Mail engaged in, I want to give you some context that somebody posted up on X, who spoke to the mother of one of the girls who was involved in this incident, who saw everything, and is going to help clear up a lot of things that we were told that went on. It corroborates a lot of the things that we were told about before, but there is a lot more that we need to talk about as well. So this person, go by Aesthetica on X, allegedly spoke to the mother of one of the girls and got the entire story that the media is covering up and lying about. That's what they allege. So first off, we're going to clarify some of the names of the girls before we go on, because the media seem to get them mixed up. 3 girls in all were accosted and attacked by, these migrant people, right? And the media, one of the big things the media tried to do is downplay it, the fact they're not migrants. They absolutely are, right? Mr. Fatos Ali Dumana, right? Lola is the girl whom is now being hailed as the queen, so to speak, the Scottish revolutionary, right? The one who's been, all the artwork has been made about, right? The one with the axe defending her sister from migrant attackers. The one who was attacked in question is Ruby. Ruby is apparently Lola's older sister, who was actually attacked and hospitalized. And I'll explain more about that now, ladies and gentlemen. Maya is Ruby's best friend, whom is the daughter of the mother in question, who's giving this testimony, who was with them and went to call the police after Ruby was attacked by the migrants. So, allegedly, directly from Maya's mother, right, the friend's mother, this is what happened. Quote, "Yes, so what happened was the girls were just out walking and the man in the picture made comments to Lola, the younger girl, the younger girl in this instance, calling her sexy and other sexual remarks. Then the girl started to tell this man to leave them alone and stop following them and making sexual remarks to them. After that, the man's sister," now I'm not sure if the mother might have gotten confused here or whatever, but the Daily Mail would allege that he was out with his wife, so maybe the mother thought that it was the sister, turns out it was the wife, or maybe there was another figure there in addition that the media didn't report, okay? So the way I'm reading this could either be the wife, alleged wife of this man, or the mother, right? Or the sister, sorry, that they describe here. She grabbed her hair, dragged her to the floor, and started to punch her. Then both the man and the woman were kicking her head in whilst she was on the floor. At this point, my daughter, i.e. Maya, called the police. So my daughter's account after that is all a bit blurry, but that is when Lola had the weapons and she pulled them out to protect Ruby. After that, the man came back at Lola, recording her, making sure she showed the weapons to the camera and antagonizing her. Ruby was hospitalized after the attack with a severe concussion, a tennis ball-sized lump on the back of her head, as well as a lot of bruises. And that's where the quote ends. This is true. Obviously, I'm having to say that because there's been no conviction or anything like that, but I'm not one of these people that's going to take the side of the fucking adult migrants in a situation where it seems that young girls, young Scottish girls, are being threatened in a pattern that we've seen enabled by the government going going back generations, right? Certainly not going to be the kind of person that, in my opinion, the people whom have taken that road, saying that in this instance it's the young Scottish girl that's the aggressor or that's the agitator. In this instance, this is true. They're going to have a very fucking rude awakening. Let me tell you that. But you'd be forgiven for thinking this if you only go by mainstream media outlets such as the Daily Mail. So the Daily Mail, right, and this is the false article that the person is referencing here, said that the ugly clip from a Dundee housing estate in which a schoolgirl brandished a knife and axe soon went viral, with rabble-rousers such as Elon Musk and Tommy Robinson pitching in to claim the man filming the exchange was a migrant. Now, first off, ladies and gentlemen, you all need to go back and rewatch that clip, and we played the clip in the previous episode, so go back and rewatch the clip in the previous episode if you haven't already done so, number 47. It's the first story we go through, so you can go back and listen to that. You can tell by the way the person is speaking, the man's voice, he is not a Scottish person, right? Okay, he's not a Scottish person. So obviously Scots have a distinctive accent, and that is not a Scottish accent you hear speaking, right? And it's not an English accent. It's not a Welsh accent, right? It's an accent you'll hear from elsewhere on the planet. I don't want to say stereotypical Middle Eastern, or, maybe Central European, or towards that Eastern European, right, kind of region you might be hearing this accent from, which makes sense, right? Because they said here, we can now reveal that the man being threatened is supposedly a family man who's been living in the UK for 4 years and was accompanied by his wife on the way to the shops when the incident occurred. And this is where they tried to obfuscate then. They tried to obfuscate and claim that, as far as I know at least, Elon Musk and Tommy Robinson never claimed that he was a fresh off the channel small boat migrant, right? Just claimed that he was a migrant, which is unequivocally true, because he came here 4 years ago from Bulgaria. He came here 4 years ago from Bulgaria. And apparently him and his wife have an 8-month baby, but he's a 21-year-old by the name of Fatos Ali Dumana. That's his name. So again, for the media to claim that he isn't a migrant is very disingenuous, because he literally is. He literally is. Even if he came here 4 years ago, tell me, by the way, how a 21-year-old when he came here 4 years ago gets put up in social housing, mind you, when Scots his age don't even get that. And he came to Britain legally from Bulgaria. That makes him a migrant. So if people were claiming that he was a migrant, they're 100% correct. They're 100% correct. But this is the thing. They want to try and obfuscate now and say that anybody noting any problems with migrants committing crime wherever they come from, however long they've been here, instantly that means that you think they're going to be part of the channel boat migrants, the dinghy invasion that's coming across, right? No, because we know the vast majority of the problems with regards to immigration have come from the legal, quote unquote, legal immigration system, which I've spoken at length before. It's an illegal system, right? And sadly, that doesn't make any person that's come here even legally above the threshold which the native people voted for, which they were betrayed on at every single turn. That makes them illegal, because the system was illegal. So that's just the unfortunate reality of it. The self-styled digital creator took the chance to have his own say on the bus stop, which launched 1,000 memes, and which also led to the girl being charged by police. Notice he didn't get charged, mind you. And in the video, you can see her, "Don't touch my sister, she's only 12. But here's some of the images that the Daily Mail shared. This is why I think it's important to go through. Here's some of the images that the Daily Mail shared, right? So the Mail, in this instance, the Daily Mail, shared images like this. This is one of them coming up on screen now, where you can see he looks okay, right? He's dressed up in a blue shirt, jeans, and he's, got his wife on his arm. Presumably this is his wife. It says in the caption that this is his wife, right? Who's apparently 8 months pregnant. Nice photo of the two of them, right? And this is the kind of images that they use to drum up this narrative that supposedly he's a lovely family man, right? Here's another image of when I think he's a little bit younger in this image. And again, you're starting to see the Axel Rudicabana themes coming through as we go through this, ladies and gentlemen, where you can see he's dressed up in a nice suit in this one. Hair's very well groomed. Obviously been to the hairdresser at some point before this. Watch on the wrist, the distinctive way we put our hand in our pocket, where we put our 4 fingers in the pocket and leave a thumb out on our trousers, right? All of these nice images that were shared, right? Again, please, ladies and gentlemen, as we're viewing these images, we got a couple more. I just want to get my laptop charger a moment. We got a couple more to highlight. Oh, There we are. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Got a couple more to highlight as well, which we'll bring up on screen for you now. But I don't know whether you would have seen it. You might have already seen it on X, for example. A lot of people have been sharing a lot of images which are a lot less favorable, should we say. So now, if I bring... So they show some images of again, Lola as well. This is now another image of Mr. Dumana, where he seems to be at some kind of social event or whatever. And he's got a wine glass in his hand. He's holding the wine glass up towards the camera. Again, hair very well done. Nice white dress shirt, nice trousers, seemingly sitting at like a table or a piano with an orange curtain in the background. And there's actually one more, I believe, I wanted to show, where he sat here. He sat on the side of what appears to be some kind of stone bench kind of thing that you might see outside a corner shop or something like that, with a dog down in between his feet, ripped jeans, beigey browny jacket, sunglasses, again, well groomed, well trimmed hair, all the rest of it. Looking like you'd think, you wouldn't think much of a problem with this, right? And you might actually then be inclined to accept the media's narrative on it, right? Much like some of us were duped into around Southport before, people started getting locked up for speaking the truth about the fact that the attacker was a radical fucking Muslim, right? He alleges that there was more than one person who come up to the police. She was attacking me and calling me a fucking migrant. I'm not an illegal migrant. I haven't done anything. He says that he did not hit them. But here's some other photos, ladies and gentlemen, which I think you'll find quite telling that the Mail did not share these. Because Ali Dumana, if we're to take him at his own word, would classify himself, based on the caption of this Instagram photo, as a gypsy gangster man. So I'm not sure if you can see on screen, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I am sure you can see on the screen. It is being displayed on the screen. It's a black and white photo of him taken where he's flipping off the camera. He has some kind of tattoo on his chest, which looks like to be some sort of bird wing or angel's wing, whatever it is. But you can see he's wearing a balaclava, which despite the black and white filter, you can see that it's some kind of camo pattern. Much of a different outlook on this man, would you not say? Would you not say? So now, these are some of the other images that have been shared recently as well. And I'll link this post down below where you can see this. There's another one here where he's with an associate, I would presume, and I can only presume that this is the same balaclava that he was wearing in the previous one. Caption goes, "I can with you, I can do without you, don't you forget it," from December 2021. This image, as you'll see, again, from his own Instagram page, allegedly paints a much different picture. So this is his friend is flipping off the camera with both hands, wearing what we can presume is that same balaclava, except it's a color image this time, from the first photo. And then finally, this one, which bear in mind, remember the Daily Mail said that this was a, nice family man. He come over here with his wife. His wife's 8 months pregnant. They chose to run that photo of them looking, really, nice and happy together, presumably, although he wasn't really smiling all that much. Here's another, and people can change, but here's another photo from September of 2021. September of 2021, right? So it would have been not long, if anything, after he came here. Because if he came here 4 years ago, then I would put it square right around this time was when he would have arrived in this country. An Instagram post, "I'm waiting for you whores to get in my supercar," is the caption, ladies and gentlemen. You can see he sat on the door of this car, which is some kind of convertible of some kind. It's an older style car. Nice car, has to be said. It's the nicest thing about this image. But you can see there in the profile picture at the time that he has on Instagram, which actually, I will zoom in on it for you and move it across, ladies and gentlemen. If we go with the same image and look at this profile photo, we can presume at the time he said this, he was with his wife at the time. So again, hard to go along with the, media narrative that they want, that this is a lovely family man that's been persecuted or whatever, on his maybe weekly jaunt to the shops with his wife or whatever. Certainly get to paint a different image. Not to mention, ladies and gentlemen, another person shared this image online, which I wanted to bring this up as a separate photo, but I can't really now for the time being. You'll see that on the back of his neck, in this photo here, he has a distinctive tattoo, which you'll notice that there was another person that had this tattoo actually on their face. I believe it was the same guy that said he wanted to slash up Irish babies. But I'm not sure what this says, ladies and gentlemen. If you're able to translate this in the comments, please do, because I'd like to know what this says. It looks like an M. It looks like a stylized M-A-F-I, a Q and a H, so Mafika. And he identifies himself as I said, a gypsy gangster. So is that meant to be like a stylized mafia kind of thing? But again, an AK-47 tattoo on the back of his neck. You can forgive people, if anything, for being maybe a little bit judgmental or for being, on edge when they see things like this. But the good thing is Mr. Dumana was, as I said, not really concealing seemingly whom he thought that he was, as is evidenced by this video as well, which I'll bring up on screen for you in a moment, ladies and gentlemen, where he is dancing and pointing fingers at the camera as if he's holding guns, which you can see quite clearly here. Kissing, blowing a kiss towards the camera. Paints a much different picture, doesn't it? Now, you might argue that this is just harmless video or whatever, but then when you learn that he apparently, going by the mother of Maya, her accounts, that he attacked Ruby, grabbed her, dragged her to the floor, and was kicking her in the head while she was on the floor, makes you think whose side the media are on. Makes you think whose side the media are on. Makes you think what else could have been involved here as well, which some people were starting to join the dots a little bit. And I'm not saying this is concrete or whatever, ladies and gentlemen, because I do believe that we're going to go through some news articles in a moment, but you'll see what I mean. When police arrested Lola, I believe it was, people found not long after, in the aftermath of this, found several news articles dated from July of this year, end of July going into August this year, that explained that the girls were missing. Sisters Ruby and Lola, I'm not sure how to pronounce the surname, M-O-I-R, I'm presuming it's Moya, have been reported missing after last spotted visiting a Dundee shopping centre. So this is from a Daily Record, right? 2 sisters were last seen visiting a Dundee shopping centre, have vanished, as police launch an urgent search. Ruby Moya, 13, and her younger sister Lola Moya, 12, have been reported missing after being last seen around 5 p.m. on Tuesday, July 29th at the Wellgate shopping centre in Dundee. Pair are known to regularly frequent Dundee city centre. Neither have access to a phone. However, police say they may be in possession of bus passes and a small amount of money. The last time Ruby was spotted, she was wearing a black jacket, orange shorts and white Crocs. She's described as white, slim build, 4'10", long black hair. Lola is described as white, slim build, 5'2" with long black hair. The last time Lola was seen, she was wearing a blue Nike t-shirt and light blue jeans with tears on the knees. Now remember, it's quite distinctive in that video, ladies and gentlemen, which if you go back and watch it, that last description of Lola, if we didn't have another news articles to go through at the moment, which provided they're true, at least makes me think that, people, thankfully, they might have been getting this wrong with their assertions. She was wearing a blue Nike t-shirt and light blue jeans with tears on the knees. You distinctly remember that Lola indeed was wearing jeans with tears on the knees, and she did indeed have a Nike t-shirt on. So a lot of people were then thinking, did the police come by and just arrest potentially kidnap victims? And I want to say it's entirely possible, but only because the only reason I say that it could possibly not be the case also, and this could potentially just be an isolated incident, is because there was a report then in the Courier from July 30th, posted in the morning at 11:57, that missing Dundee sisters 12 and 13 last seen at Wellgate have been traced. Ruby and Lola Moya were last seen on a Tuesday evening. Two missing sisters who were last seen at the Wellgate shopping centre have been traced. Why would they use the word traced? Why would they not use the word found? Surely they've been found or returned to the families would be, appropriate, if they were actually okay. But it says here the girls are understood to be safe and well. They were believed to be in each other's company. Starting to think, were these girls potentially on the run? Were these girls potentially on the run? And who are they potentially on the run from? Because, and I'm not saying these are in any way related whatsoever, ladies and gentlemen, though it is important to point out, not far from where this incident took place, there was indeed a Romanian grooming gang convicted of sexually exploiting women in Dundee. Police Scotland detectives said the gang plied their victims with alcohol and free Class A drugs at parties before coercing them into sexual activity. Here are the, oh no, sorry ladies and gentlemen, I just closed the window on accident. Bear with me, please, 2 seconds. I was going to bring the full image up on screen. Do bear with me 2 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. I accidentally closed the window instead of going on full screen. So this is from Sky News, I believe this is. Let me just double check. Yes, this is a Sky News publication. And this is the image that was shared of those people that were involved in this Romanian grooming gang, which I don't believe was very far from the area in which the girls were accosted where this incident took place in Dundee. So you have, coming up on screen for you now, from left to right, you have Remus Stan, Alexandra Bugonia, Mercia Marian Kumpanasayou, however you say that, Christian Erlatinu, and Catalin Dobre. So again, when you see things like this, it does make you wonder what the hell was going on. So this Romanian grooming gang had been convicted of sexually exploiting 10 vulnerable women in Dundee. 4 men and 1 woman were found guilty of dozens of sexual offences, including rape, following an extensive investigation into sexual exploitation, human trafficking, and the supply of drugs in a Tayside area. I just listed off all of the people there. Absolutely deplorable, said Connor Gillies, Sky News Scotland correspondent. The detective said the gang plied women with alcohol and free Class A drugs at parties before coercing them into sexual activity, which a lot of them did not want to do. As things progressed, they were so addicted to the drugs that they knew the only way they could get the drugs was to perform sexual acts that they were having to get involved in. It's disgusting. According to this, the gang hadn't been sentenced at the time, but it doesn't say, I don't believe it says how old the victims were in this particular case. I'm just double checking the article to see if it does say. But again, not saying these are directly related, ladies and gentlemen, but it does then make you wonder with how much that we've seen of how the police will cover for these things and how much the media, the fact that the media blaming the victims of the grooming gangs was what allowed the grooming gangs to prosper in the way that they did. And we just seem to be seeing more and more and more of that. And you can't blame then people for either going off doing their own investigation and not being satisfied with what the media tells them, because we've seen that the media will lie. We've seen that the media will lie. So I'll try and keep you posted on this as more becomes available, ladies and gentlemen. I have not seen, again, I would imagine that if these girls had either been trafficked or whatever, had been kidnapped and were missing for that long, the parents or the friend of the mother's friend, whom we had the testimony from at the start of the episode, would have made that known. But again, if something does come out in the future, I'll be sure to keep you updated with it. But again, there's something very, very, this just speaks to how sinister everything is. We have countless examples now of everything going on, but this just speaks to how sinister this is and why, if you're only getting your news from the mainstream media sources, you're going to be left out of information, because they didn't mention any of this. They didn't show you any of the photos of Ali Dumana saying that, Here we go. That's a nice sound. Saying that he was a gypsy gangster, right? They tried to downplay that, tried to lump it in with all of the quote-unquote far-right people that are going on about the dinghy invasion and stuff like that, saying, no, this guy's not a dinghy invader. He's a family man. He's not even a migrant, despite the fact that he came here 4 years ago. Is that all it takes to, become indigenous at this point, 4 years? No, of course not. This just shows you that where the media loyalties lie. It's not to you, it's not protecting you, and it's in many instances to blame the victims if it will suit their narrative. If you enjoyed that clip, then make sure to go on over to the Voice of the Valleys X page at VOT_Valleys on X. We're also on Instagram at Voice of the Valleys. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon. Godspeed.